Here you go.
Hello, everybody. So, my name is Christina Lindberg, and I will tell you a little bit how all began, because I would like to tell you a funny story. I grew up right outside Gothenburg in Sweden, with very small circumstances. And when I was around 18 years old, a photograph discovered me, and I began to be a cover girl at that time. So I was on every cover in Swedish magazine. And after a while, I got offer from England. They have this Penthouse magazine. It's like a Playboy magazine, but in England instead. And they took photos of me, and they took photos when I walk in parks and so on, everyday living, I was supposed to look like an everyday girl, of course. And then they also took me to those clubs. They have some kind of penthouse clubs as Playboy. And they want me to be with a guy, have a drink in the nightclub, sitting with him. And a man came to the table, and we had a drink together. And I thought, well, this is an old man with glasses. I didn't know who he was at all. And I said, I thought I had to tell him about my movies. I had made 2 movies at that time. So I told him about my movies, and he didn't say anything. He was just quiet. And I didn't thought about that much more. I went home, and a friend of mine looked at the magazine, and the picture went out very well. And then she said, Christina, have you met Michael Caine? But I was so innocent at that time, so I didn't know that Michael Caine, he was Oscar nominated and so on. But I didn't know it was Michael Caine. I thought it was an old-fashioned man, So such a story you can when you are young and you get, going up in another world, you can do such a things.
So you have done a lot of movies in the 70s. What is your personal favorite project and why?
Yeah, I made around 25 movies in all. And I think my favorite is Thriller, of course, because that is a part, that I could do something out of the part. I could play and do something out of it. And a Thriller was, a very exceptional movie in that case, that when we went out doing the film, no one in the streets knows that we were doing scenes at all. So for example, once we went out in a park during a Sunday, people were walking, had a nice time. I came up with a police car. I had no license, but I drove anyway. And I had my black coat, I had my eye patch, and I had a gun in my hand. I threw up the door, and I aimed at the people. And the people saw this girl with the eye patch and the black coat and the police car, and they were running for their lives. They were scared. So after a day, a policeman called me and said, well, people here has been threatened, so we want to talk with you. But I explained, so they understood. But this is a scene, Thriller was made in this kind of way all the time. So it was really experience behind the camera as well as in the front of the camera.
Speaking of Thriller, on the uncut and uncensored version, there are some pornographic scenes put in the movie. Can you tell us about whose idea that was and why it was done? Because
exactly.
Those scenes are absolutely unnecessary for the movie.
Yeah, They put some porno scenes in the middle of a thriller. I didn't know about it. It doesn't disturb me today, really. But in the beginning of the 70s in Sweden, there was a couple running around at sex clubs doing intercourse on the scenes in front of people and get paid for that. And they called them Romeo and Julia. I think that's fun. and the director hired them for taking those scenes that he put in the movie. I didn't know about that, but as I said, it doesn't disturb me today at all. So that's the story about that.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
My question is, your acting career sort of came to a halt around 1980, 82, so somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
Was that a conscious choice that you made, or were you not receiving roles? And can you tell us why?
Well, during the beginning of the 70s, there were very special kind of movies made. You acting against heavy actors, and there were technical people who were the same as Ingmar Bergman in Sweden used. It was very ambitious kind of movies. But after some years, it was more like nude movies, but in porno. And I didn't want to do that kind of movie. So I educate myself to a journalist instead after a while. But I can tell you about the last movie I did. It was in Berlin, in Germany, actually. And it was the director of The Deep Truth with Linda Lovelace. I think you all know that one. And he was supposed to direct a movie called Flossie. It was like to be a nude, nice movie. And I made scenes for 1 week, and he was very satisfied. But I met him in the hotel lobby after a week, and he said, "Christina, do you know they are taking porno scenes down at night, and they are going to intercut them in the movie?" And I said, "No, I didn't know. It was not the kind of movie that I was going to be in." And he said, "No, that was not the kind of movie I agreed to do." So he said, "I'm going home to the States now, and I advise you to do the same. Go home, because you deserve something better than this." So I did. I went to the airport 3 o'clock in the morning. I was shivering, I was so afraid that they were going to come after me. But they didn't, so I went home to Sweden. But I had this German producer after me for some years after that. But then I decided I want to do something else, because I think it's good for your life to step back and think after and do something else. It's good for your mind, I think. Really.
Because of Kill Bill that Quentin Tarantino made, they drew a lot of attention to this to the film Thriller. When did you get aware that a huge successful director like Quentin Tarantino wanted to make a movie like Kill Bill? Have you been contacted, even maybe offered a part in Kill Bill?
No, I didn't know about Tarantino, and to be honest, I don't know so much about Tarantino. It sounds very strange, but that's the truth. But when he had his Inglourious Basterds premiere in Sweden the other year in Stockholm, the film company phoned me and asked that Tarantino has asked for meet me. He wanted to meet me at the hotel, and of course I said yes. Of course I knew who Tarantino was. I didn't know so much about his films, but I know that his name at least. So I took all pictures with me and movies and so on to give him as a gift. And I met him at the hotel, and he came against me and said, "Oh, hello, Christina, I recognize you at once," and he embraced me. And then we sat down for 40 minutes talking about old movies, and because he is so interested in old movies from this 70s. And we talked for 40 minutes and exchanged autograph with each other all the time. And I got some marvelous lines from autographs from Tarantino. For example, he wrote, "I'm your biggest fan." And he wrote also, "Thanks for the inspiration." It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And then we wanted to have a picture together with Tarantino. And then he said like this, "No, Christina, I have something better for you. Wait for a minute, come to the cinema instead." And I came to the cinema some hours later, and there was all the premiere people, and Tarantino, he was late, so he came, very, very late. And then he screamed to me, "Come on, Christina," and the red carpet. And then he embraced me, and in front of all the photographers, of course. That was what he wanted to give me, all, be in all the magazine and television and so on. So it's so generous and so fantastic. And then he put me in the cinema also, and he was on the stage, and then he was this big rock star, really, like he is as a person. And then he screamed, "Hello, Stockholm," and so on. And then he said, "And then I have to introduce the coolest actress in Sweden, Christina Lindberg." I have to stand in front of all famous people in Sweden. I don't think if they even know who I was. But it was fantastic, because Tarantino, he wants to give this kind of old movies that you all like here. He wants to lift it up, because he thinks that kind of movie is art. That was he saying. This is art. So that's fantastic. So you make a good choice when you are here.
No questions? I have to come up with a question. So, besides thriller, how did you get involved with those erotic pictures that you have done? How did you get offered the roles? How did you get parts in those kind of movies?
Well, to be honest, I didn't do anything. I just appeared on the beach and so on, and then it went on and on. So I got the offer, and I got famous rather quickly, because, in the beginning of the 70s, you just have a few channels in television. You just have you can't believe it today, but that's the fact. You just have a few magazines, and if you were famous at that time, you get very famous, because people could see your face in every magazine, in every TV channel, and so on. So that's why, today, I would disappear in some, if I was young today, I would not probably be famous at all, but at that time you could be famous, easily in some ways. But of course not all girls got famous at that time, but I was lucky.
So our time is nearly up. Do you want to share any final comments, or do you want to say anything to the German audience, to your fans?
I would like to say thank you for being here, and I must tell you, I have during every day I work with Scandinavia's biggest aviation magazine, so I'm working at the journalist. I live on the countryside. I live a fantastic life with own property and wild animals and so on. But to go on those conventions as this is the funniest thing in my life. I just love it. That's true. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Ms. Christina Lindberg.
Thank you.